My name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and we're just entering the hungry gap, that notorious time between the end of April and probably the middle of June when there's not a lot to harvest. But I've worked hard this year to try and make sure we don't really have much of a hungry gap, and I'll show you what we're up to. So all of my overwintered beds now have got fantastic crunchy hearted lettuces in them, and so I'm starting to harvest those as heads, and they just provide such a fantastic crunch in the salad mixes. But I've also got some beautiful oak leaf lettuce beds, and they provide all the dark colours and really lovely taste that really makes a big difference. And that combination really of the kind of butterhead and the crunchy hearting lettuces and the oak leaf loose leaf lettuces really does provide a really fantastic mix. And then of course I've got the radishes, and we always put a bit of rocket in with our salad mixes, and spring onions. Spring onions, yeah, definitely spring onions. And we probably even pop a bit of a few baby carrots in soon, because they're always very popular. I spent most of the morning actually tidying up the polytunnel, so I've actually got some harvesting space finally. And so those are the containers there laid out for the salads. I've also picked a few tubs of salad potatoes, and this is kind of amount that I get out of 2 tubs. It's not fantastic, but the tubs are only small. And it's definitely worthwhile to get potatoes so early in the season. So when I'm doing the harvest at the moment, when it's such lovely weather as this, I like to sit outside on my little bench, and I've got all my tubs in front of me, and so as I'm working through, I'm harvesting into water. So in there, those are all crunchy hearting lettuces. These are all the butterheads, and anything with green fly on it, because I'll double wash that, and you probably can see maybe the green fly floating around in there, so I don't want that to go straight into the mixes without another wash. And then this is all the loose leaf oak leaf type lettuces in the main, and also anything that doesn't have any green fly on it. And then all the waste leaves just go in here, and actually there's a good example of why I'm washing. There's a little bit of green fly. That's actually one of the outer leaves that I wouldn't actually include in a mix, but yeah, lots of green fly about now. When I'm harvesting, I use these washing bags, I think they are, but they're just fantastic. Put the lettuces in them and swing them around, and the swinging gets rid of all the water. Shake them a bit, and then we're done. That's the lettuce done. By far the most popular veg with our family at the moment. 24 containers. Get those packed up. Saved a few boxes because these are the lucky ones that are going to get spring onions. So next up is the smoothie mixes, and there's only 5 of those, and so that's going to be nice and quick. And basically the smoothie mixes at the moment are just all the bits and pieces that aren't good enough for eating. So it's the flowering tops off the chard and the perpetual spinach, and the true spinach. It's radish tops, it's salad leaves, brassica leaf, baby brassica leaves, all that sort of thing. So there we go, there's the smoothie mixes, and actually there's some sorrel in there, as I probably said, some true spinach, onion tops, lots of bits of onion tops. So incredibly nutritious mix there, fantastic. So next up it's the brassicas, and we don't have a huge amount of brassicas at the moment, to be honest. Most of the overwinter stuff is gone now, and so we've really got a few little bits in the polytunnel, some cabbages, cauliflowers and things like that. They're not ready, but we've got some nice kale, and so I'll quickly show you around outside what we've got, and then I'll show you what we harvested. In the polytunnel down here we've got cauliflowers and broccolini, calabrese. Down here we've got lots of purple sprouting broccoli, which we're still harvesting quite a lot of, and some cabbages down the end there. And here we've got broccolini, and then calabrese, and then cauliflowers, and then cabbages, and more cabbages. Lots of lovely kales here. Carvalho Nero here. In the centre we've got dazzling blue, and we've got some more dazzling blue, and then we've got some hungry gap kale. Some more Carvalho Nero here, which is doing splendidly. And that we've got the brassicas that we'll be planting at the end of this week, so they're just holding off down here. I'm doing Carvalho Nero and dazzling blue at the base, and then topped off with PSB. There's the brassicas done. Pretty pleased with that. I actually popped in the calabrese as well, and we've got 2 boxes of tree kale that I picked yesterday from home as well, so that makes 8 and a bit. So now I'm on to the chard and the perpetual spinach, and we don't have a huge amount because it is running to seed now, but just enough. And there we go, that's the chard. On to something more interesting now. I think this time of year I'm growing all my potatoes in pots. In fact, the whole year I'm growing potatoes in pots, just because the yield is so much greater for the appropriate ground area, and you know, I need as much ground area as I can get, so potatoes in pots it is. 4 pots left in the polytunnel, and there's another one down here, and these 4 will do us for the next 4 weeks, and then we'll have the ones that are outside on the patio will be ready. And we've been harvesting potatoes now for 3 weeks, I think, and this is what it looked like. So there you go, that's a nice couple of pots there. Normally I wouldn't harvest 2 pots, I'd only harvest 1, but they're only little pots, so there we go. And then next up are the carrots. Now all these carrots have been grown in the polytunnel, but it's May now, it's nice and warm, so they're outside, but they're on this raised, well actually on top of the compost bin, so that they're too high in theory for the carrot fry. And this is the earliest of the carrot tubs, and this one's ready. That's the carrots. I'm actually quite pleased with those carrots, I must admit. They're looking lovely, and they'll be a lovely complement to those potatoes. And they're just in time actually, because I was concerned that we would run out of carrots, but the carrots, we've still got a few carrots in store, but the quality is not that great now. You know, they're a bit sluggy turn, and there's definitely a few of them that have got onion fly damage, and some of them are getting a kind of tough core, so they're starting to run to seed. So yeah, it's lovely to have fresh carrots again. That unfortunately is pretty much everything that we've got available for harvest. And so as we head into the Hungry Gap, we will have a few more things. Not very far off having strawberries now. We're going to have plenty of calabrese. The broccolini is going a bit crazy, and that's going to keep going for a pretty long harvest period. And before the Hungry Gap is out, then these broad beans should definitely be giving us at least their first harvest. And actually what I'm planning to do is, when these are finished, I'm going to cut them down and let them regrow, and I'm going to use them for harvesting their tips, because that's been so good over winter and we've enjoyed those so much. We're not far off getting our first cauliflower. We've got this fantastic bed of multi-sown sprouts, Brussels sprouts, and we grow these just for the leaves, and there are 3 to a module effectively, and yeah, they're a special treat for me because I just love sprout leaves and they're so healthy. The 3rd succession of spinach will soon be ready. In fact, that reminds me, I've got to get a bit of that picked, and that's the spinach. Lovely stuff. Almost all of that is red kitten. And then we'll probably start taking some of the earlier onions, and the same with some of the earlier garlic, which will probably take as green garlic because we've got a huge quantity of garlic, not just this bed here, but lots of other beds. And just for completeness, I did also pick a few bunches of celery, and I fueled myself for this harvest with dried apples from the store. And we actually do have quite a bit in the store left, so we've got quite a few dried apples. We've got loads of onions, and they're still in pretty good condition. We've got some good shallots, got a reasonable amount of potatoes, probably enough for 2 or 3 weeks. Baking potatoes, that is. What else have we got? Yeah, we've got loads of beetroot. Probably well over a month's supply of beetroot. Although I do find that in May it does start to go a little bit soft as the weather warms up. And I think that is pretty much it. Oh, well, I suppose it's worth mentioning that I did harvest the first 2 tomatoes, but they're not that exciting. Tomatoes this early in the season, they don't taste the best. Now, I'm always getting asked, what do you do with all that veg, Steve? And most people know that I gift it to friends and family, although we eat about half of it ourselves. But today was a nice example, really, because Leslie came and she took a few containers full of salads, and then Diane came and she took, well, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 boxes and gifted us some lovely eggs. And then Anne came and she brought us blueberries and raspberries, and she took a few boxes of spinach and salad. And then tomorrow I'm dropping a bag off for Tony, and he's buying me drinks at Cafe Nero. And then a bit later on I'm dropping off another bag for Michael, and he's giving me breakfast. So that's the way it goes. And then obviously, well, not obviously, but next door neighbour takes some, Eleanor, and she'll almost certainly give us some tomatoes. And then Chris, and he'll probably give us some grapes. So that's the kind of unofficial barter system. We never ask for anything in return for the veg, but we give stuff to them. Sometimes they give stuff to us. It's a lovely way to live. So with that, I think I'll just say I hope you enjoyed this video. I love a bit of feedback. I get some feedback on what other people are growing and how they're surviving the hungry gap. I forgot to mention, well, I think I maybe did actually, green garlic. Yeah, lots of green garlic to come. And with that, I'll see you soon.